Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jack. My dad's not here for this video today. Gonna have a series of 5-minute videos. We're testing these out, trying to get into our name a little bit more here on the Footy 5. Breaking down Cristiano Ronaldo. In 5 minutes, gonna look at 3 teams that could potentially sign Ronaldo and what he looks like compared to their current striking options. Well, since the news that Cristiano Ronaldo has not been going to Manchester United training due to his unhappiness and displeasure with the current transfer window and the current ambition of Manchester United owners, as well as their transfer policy after finishing 6th place last season and failing to win a trophy for more than 5 years. Before the news of the training incident had come across, it was revealed by David Ornstein of The Athletic that Todd Boehly, the new owner of Chelsea, had met with Jorge Mendes to discuss Cristiano Ronaldo as one of the potential things that he was discussing with the agent. So when the news about the training came out, it was only natural that Chelsea were one of the sides linked to him. The other two that we're going to discuss today are Bayern Munich and Napoli, of the German Bundesliga and of the Italian Serie A, respectively. I wanted to compare Ronaldo to their current striking options to kind of see what he could do differently and whether or not a move would make sense for Ronaldo at the player that he currently is. No doubt that years ago, Ronaldo, one of the best players in the world, and you can make an argument, one of the best players of all time. But the player that he is right now is very different, and a very different style of player compared to where modern football is heading. There are 8 stats that I have that I'm looking at in terms of what I would perceive as important values of a striker in a title-winning side in today's football. Those stats are goals and assists in terms of just goal production, touches in the attacking penalty area, and passes received to get a sense for the opportunities they've been afforded. This is less so speaking on them, but more so the system around them. Shot creating actions and progressive carries. How can they create? What opportunities can they develop themselves? And then tackles plus interceptions and pressures. Not predominantly attacking attributes, but I think they're important for strikers nowadays. And it has to be mentioned with Ronaldo. Not a great presser, obviously. And the last thing before we get into the numbers, out of interest of being transparent, I'm not Ronaldo's biggest fan. So there may be a hint of bias in how I analyze these numbers and how I kind of constructed it all together. So feel free to glean from it as you wish. Let's start with Chelsea, and the striker I'm comparing him with is Kai Havertz. Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner played significant minutes in that center forward position, but one is rumored to leave in Werner, and Lukaku is already out the exit door back to Inter Milan. I brought in Havertz because he has an interesting parallel to Ronaldo. In terms of the attributes I selected, the stats I selected, Havertz bests him in all but one, goals, the most important one, and he's significantly inferior in terms of that. Now, in terms of how he presses, tackles, slightly better in terms of the creation and progressive carries and shot creating actions, and he also had better opportunities where he was receiving the ball in more dangerous areas and just receiving the ball a tad bit more than Cristiano Ronaldo was. Now, this is also indicative of the style of player. You have an out-and-out number 9 in Cristiano Ronaldo versus a false 9 in Havertz, capable of dropping deep to receive the ball. Which player is more acceptable, more potential in the modern game? I would lean Kai Havertz. Is Ronaldo a better player? That's up for debate. But I think the model, the player that Havertz is more usable, especially for Thomas Tuchel's system. So, Chelsea, I'm going to give it a no. The second club I'm mentioning in today's video is Napoli. Now, Ronaldo left Juventus just under a year ago, so it'd be kind of surprising to see him already return to Italy for a different side than he played for in Juventus. The striker I'm comparing him with is Victor Osimhen, who played the most minutes as a center forward out of any players for Napoli last season, and at 23 years of age, shows a lot of development and a lot of potential still to grow into. Now, here we see a few interesting takeaways, at least for me. The goals and the assists, very, very similar in terms of the two of them. Osimhen slightly edging Ronaldo in the pressing and tackling department, but not so much that I'm blown away off the stat sheet. Very similar in terms of their progressive carries and shot creating actions. The only spot where there's a really big discrepancy is passes received, the amount of volume they got in terms of from their teammates. And Ronaldo getting significantly, in fact, the actual raw numbers, I think about 3 times more passes per 90 he's receiving than Osimhen was. And that's a big deal. He's just getting less volume, and he's still able to produce and still able to create things at a very equal rate. I would say that Osimhen's production last year was very similar to Ronaldo's. And so to go for a guy 14 years older, it's a weird choice to me. It'd be a great commercial choice. It really kind of knocked him up in terms of the popularity. But for me, in terms of footballing sense, I'm not buying it. If I'm Napoli, I'm sticking with the young gun before I'm going to Ronaldo. Now, the side that I think could make the most sense, and there's a lot of interest and discussions to happen here, is Bayern Munich. Now, their current striker, Robert Lewandowski, is rumored to be leaving. He wants to leave the club. He wants to go to Barcelona. The question is, can Barcelona afford it? I'm going to do a video very shortly on that situation as well, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe for that. Now, looking at the numbers between the two of them, Robert Lewandowski and Cristiano Ronaldo, what could be a like-for-like replacement for Bayern Munich, is that Lewandowski slightly outproduced him in terms of the goals department and the assist department, was very similarly less impactful in terms of the pressure, so Ronaldo would not go into that system and be caught out by a side that wants to press heavily. For me, if Lewandowski is to go, I'm not sure where Bayern are turning to for a replacement, if they're going for the likes of a Sadio Mane, maybe a Serge Gnabry as a false 9, less out-and-out number 9 type player, or they could go for Cristiano Ronaldo and go for a guy who would give you maybe 1, 2, 3 years of production, give you a pretty solid chance at having a big moment in the Champions League. But look, if Lewandowski goes to Barcelona and you're signing Ronaldo for cheaper, maybe better wages, I think you're winning in that instance if you're Bayern Munich. It's a fascinating bit of scenarios that lay out in front of us. We'll see what has to happen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, more long-form discussions with my dad to come. But until then, I've been Jack. This has been the Footy 5. Take care.